Did Doom Eternal just get its last update? Some people think so. Those are hard words to say in a video, but let's talk about that. Update 6.66 revision 1.1 was just released, but it's mainly battle mode cosmetics and a quick Stadia horde mode change, and a Dread Knight without any tubes on the box. But we need to focus on the big updates. Alright, so the game is about 2 years old now, and we know that most single-player games don't really have a forever life cycle. Sure, there's always people that will play it on and off, maybe the dedicated people, and the general public, though, does tend to drop off, and you can see this if you look at Steam charts or any other thing that has player count. You can see that they don't live forever. And it was a couple years from 2016's release to Eternals, well, a couple meaning like 4, but a couple years into the process, around 2018, is where they started hinting to a new game. So judging by that, we could expect a new game within a couple years, and we'll talk about that more here in just a second. Now, I do want to say too that they've announced it, the support goes to it, and that a lot goes into making a game. And so naturally, they'd want to have people working on it, right? 4 years isn't too bad. It's not something or a type of game that comes out every single year. I know some franchises do that, but Doom doesn't seem to take that route. Now, the next game in development is what they're moving on to, but what is that game? Is that Doom? Is it Quake? We'll talk about that too. Regardless of whether it is, you cannot support Eternal 100%. As much as I wish that they could, I just know it's not feasible, because you do have to move on to a new game at some point. And Hugo did say that there are more Doom stories to be told, that we weren't completely over yet, but a lot of people are thinking it's Quake. Regardless of what it is, we know it is something different. So they have their team that's working on it, and then they have their team that's still spending time on Eternal, which we'll get to why that matters here in just a second. Now, we know we got a huge, free update recently. It was the update 6.66, and recently a revision 1. This was a huge free content update unlike anything we've ever seen before. I mean, think about it. We have a whole entire new game mode, 2 new master levels, a battle mode revamp, and more. This was a huge hurrah, and if you really think about the surroundings and what goes into this, they went with update 6.66, not 7, not any other number, it's the Doom number, right? And that alone makes me think that it's meant to be something big, and it was. That was actually Doom 2016's final update number, so naturally when it happened for Eternal, people thought, hey, wow, this was 2016's number, it's the Doom number, this is the end of Eternal, it's over. But is that really true? Now, will we see another update to that scale? Maybe not. I mean, honestly, that is more than what we would usually get. Normally we would have a master level, some game bug fixes, but to have all of those things in one update for free a year and a half after launch, on top of all the other free updates that we got. I really think about how many updates that we have. Sure, it's not to the level of Fortnite and continuous season, battle pass type updates, sure, but it's a lot. Now, we could get smaller updates in time, and there's another reason that I think we need to talk about in a second. But the smaller updates would more likely be, say, bug fixes, maybe a master level here and there. We'll get to that. But another thing we need to talk about is the Hugo streams. Yes, so Hugo would be streaming normally every week or so. He'd be running through the base game, DLCs, battle mode, couple times actually, master levels, and you could say that, hey, maybe he's just running out of things that he can stream, because they do have to do official content, they aren't doing mods or anything like that, and maybe he just doesn't have anything else to do. Well, he has done battle mode a couple times, and I think that there could be ways to make it work, even just coming on and talking, because he and Josh usually do their talks for a little while before getting into the game, and generally it's off topic, but other times it could be on topic. But even without new information and teasers to reveal during these podcast sessions, more or less, I think they could still work. But there's a deeper reason, I think, behind this. He is spending his time elsewhere, as is a lot of id Software staff. He is not able to dedicate the 3, 4, 5 hours each Thursday night for the stream if he's got to be busy focusing his efforts as the creative director on a newer game? Now, we could also say that the rest of the team, you have to have some people working on Eternal updates if you want to keep them running and going, but we know that something I've noticed, the events have been getting longer and longer. The Christmas event was over a month. The 60 Forsaken was 48 days. Normally, they're around a month. This is nice because people, especially if someone doesn't have a lot of time to play, they can still get the events and everything that comes with them. But what does that really mean? Now, we do know that there's less of a team to put these events together since there are new skins, cosmetics, the whole thing, and the challenges are sort of recycled. So that's going to be less people working on that. That also means that with the events going longer and longer, they are able to not have to work on them as often. Think about that one too. I mean, it's a 50% increase over that. That's over 2 extra weeks of this latest event. That's 50%. That's a pretty big deal. So not only are they fewer in number, there are likely fewer people working on them. It all comes together to really just make sense if you think about it. And to my knowledge, there are no new skins in the game files for future seasons. I mean, the Doom 64 guy, we found out about him a couple months before the actual release. Now, of course, we also thought he would be coming sooner than he did, but there was a couple different things in its place. But without those new skins, what's next? Now, they can still easily go in and update them, sure, so just because there's nothing in the files now, doesn't mean that there won't be anything in the files in the future or soon. As we come up to and beyond that 2-year anniversary of the game, let's just really think about that too. You could use that as a benchmark and say, okay, at 2 years we are cutting official support and we're just going to leave it on a lifeline for anything emergency. Let's talk about that one. So, will that be the case? I don't know. It could be, it may not be. But as far as updates go, I think that was our last big one. But hold on, there's still more to say on this. It just makes more sense for them to focus their limited resources on the new game. Now, it's from a developmental standpoint because they want to have all of their people that they can on this new game. It's a whole new game. It takes a lot of work, so much. I heard that the Icon boss fight took like a year and the Dark Lord a bunch of time as well, however long it was. But financially as well, they need to put all their money to this new game, all of their assets. It just makes the most sense. But they don't want to completely cut Eternal just 100% right out the gate because they're still players, it's still their current game. I still hope that they continue support for it for at least a while longer, and hopefully the hype does come back to Eternal as a new game gets announced and released and people start coming back to the Doom scene, those have previously left or maybe play more casually and didn't want to stick around for a super long time once they beat the game once. Comment below if you think it's the final update, and check out my Doom Eternal combat video here to help you become a better player. I'm Allstin, thanks for watching.